Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. What's going on, everybody? Happy Hump Day. Hope you're all doing well. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Man, let's get them like buttons, gang. Who do we got, man? Aiden's in the building. Okay. Nicholas, Jonathan, Gary, Steven, Jonah. What's happening? My man, Jake Boss. Nosebleed, Yankee Mike, Peter. What is good, everybody? All right. Robert Johnson. Right. Who else is in here? Tiffany, good evening. How are you, Tiffany? Okay, so, you know, the question of the day, right? Who's worth trading Jasson Dominguez for? Is worth trading Spencer Jones for? There's been a lot of talk recently about Mason Miller, Tarek Skubal, and now, most recently, Isaac Paredes from the Tampa Bay Rays. Okay, and we'll go over one or two of these, one of them at a time, right? Mason Miller. I mean, some of the requests were you're gonna have to give Jasson Dominguez and Spencer Jones and then some. No, hard pass for me. You want both of those? You're taking Stanton's contract. You're also taking DJ's contract. Okay. You want to play in the rain? You're gonna have to play in the mud too. All right. Period. My man NFE's in the building. My man Maz is here too. Right. So, but now let me pull this up. Okay. I find this fascinating. Here, this is the top 100 prospects in MLB. Right now. All right. I have Baseball America has a little bit of a different list where Spencer Jones is, I think, 15th. He's in the 70s here. But let's just go over Tarek Skubal first, okay, from the Detroit Tigers. Let's look and see. Let's scroll down. Detroit Tigers. They have their 10th prospect overall in baseball as an outfield prospect. He's rated higher than Dominguez and Spencer Jones. Then their next prospect, Jackson Jobe, he's a right-handed pitcher. He's number 11. So they have a pitching prospect and an outfield prospect in the top 11. So just something to keep in mind. All right. Who else we have here? The Detroit Tigers. Okay. Detroit Tigers. An infield prospect, Jace Jung, number 41. Okay. Infield prospect. So now we have an outfielder, a pitcher, and an infield prospect. All right. Who else do we have with the Tigers? We're in the 60s now. Anybody else? Let's see. There goes Spencer Jones. Detroit Tigers. There goes Chase Hampton. I think that's all I'm seeing, right? Yeah. So was that 3 or 4 in the top 40? So there you go. Now, why in the world would I give? Let me remove this really quickly. Why in the world would I give Spencer Jones and Jasson Dominguez for Tarek Skubal? I understand he's got 2 years of control after this year. He's going to cost a lot of money. But they have a prospect who's top 10 in baseball already as an outfielder, who's rated above both of them. Okay? So that tells me right there, there's no way you're going to get both. You might get one. Okay? And like I said, I've said this before. My personal preference is to trade Dominguez and not Spencer Jones. There's a reason why the White Sox want Spencer Jones and not asking for Dominguez, right? So there are different views on both. But the Tigers have a top 10 prospect in all baseball that's an outfielder. So there's no way you're getting two of our outfielders. Okay? I will give you an infielder. I'll give you pitching. And, they didn't, they had, aside from the one pitcher they had, right? They didn't have anybody else on that list. So it might cost to Chase Hampton. It might cost somebody else. But the Yankees only have one pitcher on that top 100 prospects list. So, that's the price of doing baseball. It may cost one. Let's just say a package would be Jasson Dominguez, Roderick Arias, and some other folks, right? Chase Hampton or whatnot. And again, that's right there is a pretty robust package for Tarek Skubal alone. Okay. But again, you're looking at a Cy Young contender from the left-handed side. You're also looking at a probably bona fide number 2 complement to Garrett Cole in the bullpen. In the rotation in the postseason. That's exactly what we need. That's exactly what we thought Carlos Rodon was going to be, and he hasn't done that. So, They are looking, and there are some guys that might be available, but it's going to cost a premium. But when I look at their prospects list, they have an outfielder there. So why would you get both? I wouldn't do it. Okay, and that's just one. This is one part of my argument. One part of my reasoning behind it. Now let's go back to let's look at the A's. Okay, let's put it back on here. Let's put the list back on here. Oakland A's. Okay, never mind about trading Jasson Dominguez and Spencer Jones for a relief pitcher is comical and laughable at best to me. So there's no way in the world I would do that, especially one who screams Tommy John, who's had UCL problems already. So, but that's just me. Now look at we're in the first point. Okay, Jacob Wilson, a shortstop prospect. Okay, there you go. Who else do the A's have here? A's. Okay. Oakland A's. What do they have? One? I think I just saw one in Oakland A's, right? So, and that's it. That shortstop prospect. So now going back to what we were saying before, as an infield prospect, they don't have any pitching prospects in the top 100. So I would definitely give some pitching. I would give it out. I mean, you might get one of those guys, either Dominguez or Spencer Jones. And the fact of the matter is, like, I would not want to trade Jasson Dominguez or Spencer Jones to a team that's in our division, right? So, but that's unfortunately going to be the cost for one of these guys. Now, could you get a Mason Miller without these guys? I don't know. You can add pitching. You can add, you can probably load up a prospect package here as well, right? But the fact of the matter is, for Mason Miller, yes, he has 5 years of control left after this year. Yes, he's 25. Yes, he's one of the hardest throwing pitchers in baseball. And he's got a lot of movement on his pitches, so he's potentially dominant. Okay, and so that's important to look at. But there's no way in the world I would give Spencer Jones and Jasson Dominguez for a reliever. Sorry, but there's no way I can do it. Okay, now let's go. Let's talk about Isaac Paredes because he's another guy right now. He's drawing a lot of attention. He's probably one of the most attractive candidates right now. And the Rays are fielding offers. I mean, look at that. Junior came in our number 3 prospect in all baseball, third baseman / infield, shortstop. Okay, let's move down. Oh, look at this, number 9 overall, another shortstop, Carson Williams. I was initially going to say, okay, well, you have to replace Juan DeFranco at some point, who's probably never going to play again. But look, they have 2 prospects in the top 10 who are freaking shortstops, so they could replace Paredes and and Juan DeFranco with these 2 players. So it's just something to keep in mind. Let's keep scrolling down here. So who else is in Tampa here? Let's see who else we got. There we go. Another one. The first baseman, Xavier Isaac, number 31, a corner infielder, first baseman now. He's AAA. He's in single A. 2026 is ZTA. Okay. And that's the other thing with these guys. Some of these guys aren't projected to come in and contribute right away. So could you add an infield as part of the prospect that can contribute immediately? Yeah, probably. But you'd have to load up the prospect package elsewhere. Obviously, Tampa Bay. Here we go. Another 59. Braden Taylor, another third base shortstop. That's 3 in the top 60 that are shortstop third baseman prospects. 3 of them. Okay. They are loaded at that position. Okay, they are loaded. Tampa Bay. Who else we have here? Anybody else? No, that's all I saw in there. Right? So, what do we not see there? What do we not see? No pitching prospects. No outfield prospects. So, right off the bat, the price is going to have to be either Jasson Dominguez or Spencer Jones, and probably Chase Hampton and Isaac Paredes. Okay, now he's You got solid production. He's batting, I think he's in the 280s right now. He's 15 home runs, 50 RBIs. He's also a Super 2 player, meaning he's in his first year of arbitration this year, but he still has 3 years of after this of eligibility. He's not a free agent until after 2027. So based on the prospects list, you could see you're going to have to give an outfield prospect, maybe 2, and a pitching prospect, maybe 2, to get Isaac Paredes. Now, he's based on this too, he's got more value than Brian McMahon does. Okay? He's also younger than McMahon. So, yes, it would cost probably one of those guys from McMahon too. But Isaac Paredes, remember, he's in the division too. The Rays, the last time the Rays and the Yankees lined up for a trade, it was Ben Rortvedt was involved, and then John Birdie was involved. That was a trade last year. It was kind of a under the radar role player trade. But this would be a huge trade. So the Rays were going to want a premium for the Yankees. It would have to cost Spencer Jones or Jasson Dominguez and probably Chase Hampton or Henry Lane. That's what it's going to cost. That's what's going to cost. I don't think there's a chance you can get him without those guys, right? So, that's unfortunately the price of doing business right now, and especially in the division. So I wanted to just point this. I wanted to go over the prospects list on top 100. That way you could see, what type of package you could probably front load with for each of these guys, right? And Mason Miller, and every single one of these packages, whether it's Skubal or Miller or Paredes, every single one of them is going to require a Spencer Jones or Jasson Dominguez. You're just going to have to accept that right now to begin with. And that's why I say, if Spencer Jones stays, I hope he becomes a stud. If we trade him away, I hope he becomes a bust. Nothing against him. I hope that's the case. So, but at the end of the day, of those 3 guys, and these are the guys that, Garrett Crochet, we know this already. The Yankees are in active discussions with White Sox on Crochet. They were insisting upon Spencer Jones and Chase Hampton. But now it sounds like, according to Bob Nightingale, they're insisting on one or the other. Okay? So, obviously, I would lead with Chase Hampton and not Spencer Jones if you can get a Garrett Crochet. But it's going to cost a boatload of money. Okay? The only way, I'm even considering adding a Spencer Jones or Jasson Dominguez is if I'm getting another player, like a Yohan Moncada, something like that. If they added Luis Robert, that's definitely going to cost Jones and they may even ask for Jones and Dominguez there. So that's unfortunately the price. So, by the way, smack the like button, gang. Let's try to get past 100 likes as quickly as we can. But what do you think, gang? Okay, what do you think of this? Again, these are the 3 players I wanted to go over this prospect list, and this is the most recent top 100 prospect list. So, and you could see, right? So, what the price of doing business is going to be. There's a reason why nobody's traded their top prospects for Mason Miller or Skubal or Crochet. The Padres have already made a trade offer for Crochet. They were rejected outright by the White Sox. And I think there's another team, I don't remember who, that also made an offer for Garrett Crochet. They were also rejected outright. So I was talking to Mikey Mazza earlier from the Fortune Express. It sounds as if the White Sox are most interested in doing business with the Yankees, making a trade with the Yankees. So, and also this could be a reason why the Yankees have loaded up on pitching in the draft. They got 14 out of 20 picks they picked were pitchers. Okay, 14. 13 of the 14, no, 12 of the 14 were college. One of them was JUCO, one of them was high school, right? So they loaded up, and then they loaded on infield and outfield too. 4 outfield prospects, 2 infield prospects. That was it. That was the draft. So, and they traded away a chunk of pitchers in the last couple years for guys like Juan Soto and Alex Verdugo, and even back in the day for Frankie Montez, they gave up all those pitchers, JP Sears and Ken Walchuk and all them. So they have moved away, a lot of pitchers away over the last 2-3 years. So they've been restocking, replenishing slowly but surely. And they're at the point now where some of these guys, like Chase Hampton, like Lane, like Brock Selvage, and some of these guys are at the point where they could be frontlining a certain package for a player of impact, right? And this is where we're at right now. Yeah, the Martian does bat switch. Yes, he does. Okay. And I do think, and I'm in agreement with Jonathan here, I think the Yankees will trade some pitching. What pitching? I don't know. It depends, on what they get. The Marlins are highly motivated to trade Jazz Chisholm, and apparently they've re-engaged in the discussion. So what if you got Jazz Chisholm, and then on the back end you got another player to play third base? I don't know who it might be, but obviously Paredes and Chisholm would be insanity, right? But you know how much it would cost? It would be like crazy, absolutely nuts. Jazz Chisholm's not going to require Jasson Dominguez or Spencer Jones. The Marlins need infielders. They need catchers. Okay? And the Yankees are right now, they're essentially, it's down to a two-team race, it sounds like, according to the reports, the Mariners and the Yankees. They both have infield prospects, and they both have catching prospects that the Marlins could use. But it looks like the Yankees have more major league-ready catching right now that they could trade away. I mean, they could essentially trade Jose Trevino, could be their now catcher, and then add a Carlos Narvaez or an Agustin Ramirez so they could have their replacement to him, and like they could groom while Trevino's here. So then maybe that's an advantage for the Yankees. But I was Harry Ford, their number 2 prospect, I think, in the Seattle Mariners system as a catcher. So it really depends on what the Marlins would want, right? It really depends on what they would want. So it's a really, like, this is a fluid situation, and this is what we're hearing now, right? This is what we're hearing now. And I don't know what it's going to take, but there isn't a player in baseball that I would give Dominguez and Spencer Jones for, especially relief pitcher. Like I said, you want Dominguez and Jones, then you're taking, Stanton's contract and DJ's contract in return. You want our top 2, you got to take our other 2. That's the deal. Take it or leave it. Right? That's what I would do. That's what I would do. So, and like, this is what, again, this is why I think it's important to go through these lists and these prospect lists, right? So, and just to see where their other prospects lie. Is there even a need to ask for like the Tigers? There's not really a need to ask for either for Jones and Dominguez when they already have a guy that's ranked above both of them. Like, what the hell's the point, right? So that's why I look at it. But obviously, if you're going to trade a player like Tarek Skubal, you're going to want some major league ready guys or some building blocks. The Tigers really aren't going to be contending legitimately anytime in the near future. So some building blocks would probably be good for them, long-term pieces, right? So, and that's the way it's going to be. And same thing with, I think Mason Miller. If Mason Miller goes anywhere, my like the other, I put out a something this morning about my, like what trades I could shake up the baseball world, and him going to the Phillies would shake up everything. Mason Miller going to the Phillies. That's like, I think to me, he's like the missing piece for the Phillies, right? And that to me would be nuts. And like this, another trade I put out was, if you haven't seen it, go take a look at the video. I put out 5 trades they kind of would shake up the baseball world. And then I have Luis Robert and Yohan Moncada going to the Seattle Mariners. Like, that would be crazy. Be crazy, right? So, looking at my man Message from 420 Express join here.
What's up, dude?
So, what's your take on this? Like,
so
this is like, we're hearing a lot right now, right?
There's a lot of rumblings going on.
Absolutely. A lot of rumblings and all this stuff, and we're getting people saying it's going to cost Dominguez and Spencer Jones, so on and so forth.
I doubt it.
Right? And
I highly doubt it.
There isn't anybody that I would move both of them for.
No. Not one person.
No, and this is why I went over the prospect list, because like you could see the Rays, okay, they have a legitimate reason to ask for one of them, right?
Yes.
They don't have any outfield prospects in the top 100. They don't. or pitching prospects in the top 100. So you would have to, it would have to be either Dominguez and Hampton or Jones and Hampton, and then some more probably. That I can understand. Mason Miller, I mean, I'm just laughing at that. So, but like Tarek Skubal, the 10 prospect in all baseball is a Tigers outfielder.
Yeah.
So why the hell would I do both?
Here's how I look at this, and I'm going to start off with the whole Jazz Chisholm, Garrett Crochet thing, because you and I discussed this earlier. Jazz Chisholm would not be a bad ad.
No,
I don't understand why there are fans, on different pages, different channels, thinking it would be a bad ad. He brings dynamic that this team could use. He's a good prototypical leadoff hitter. He could play second, short, and the outfield, so that does help. That takes up pressure off of DJ, takes up pressure off of Torres. You can rotate him with Judge, Soto, or Verdugo. And with what has been reported of the Yankees and Mariners being the final two teams for Jazz Chisholm, you and I spoke about this earlier. There's something in me that's telling me that Jazz will be a Yankee only because of the fact that the Yankees have the advantage in the sense that they have major league ready infielders and catchers now, which is what the Marlins were looking for.
And just Chisholm, unlike Miller, Skubal, and Paredes, would not require a blockbuster package.
No.
A good package, yes, but not a blockbuster package.
No, absolutely.
Those guys are blockbusters.
So what they could do is they could give him Trevino. They could give him Narvaez. And maybe, an Oswaldo Cabrera type of player. Because at least you're balancing it out.
Look, we're not getting the production we need from Torres at second. We're not getting the production we need from DJ or Cabrera at third. So these are essentially wasted positions right now.
Yeah.
Okay? And I know people like Oswaldo Cabrera. He could play more. When he was playing, he was good for a couple of days, and then he stunk for a bunch of days. Okay? No. He's not the answer.
No, he's not.
He's really not the answer.
And then with the whole Garrett Crochet thing and the White Sox thing, which I brought to your attention earlier, and I remember you and I spoke about this, is the Padres offered him something.
And they were rejected outright.
They rejected it outright. And they offered him the top prospect that they had. And they rejected that. I think the Dodgers was another team that offered for him, and they rejected that too. There was like 3 or 4 different teams that made him an offer, made the White Sox an offer, and they flat out said no.
Yep.
So the Yankees are the team that they want to do business with. That's clearly what they're telling teams. Like, don't bother calling us because we're going to reject it.
Mm-hmm.
And the Padres, and the scary thing is about this, Jason, and I want to put this out there. If you could bring up the prospect list again for me. The Padres' number 1 prospect, who they were offering for Garrett Crochet.
If you can't see me, I'm getting the list back up.
Is Ethan Salas, who is a catcher.
Yeah, he's like the number 5 prospect in all of baseball too.
And he is a higher ranked prospect than Spencer Jones and Jasson Dominguez.
Yes, he is.
And they rejected it. So
they offered Ethan Salas.
Has to tell you something.
They offered Ethan Salas?
I think that's what part of the deal was, that they were going to offer Ethan Salas, and they said no to it.
Oh, this list is not coming up. Let me pull it up on my phone, actually. Okay. Like, Ethan Salas, man. Jeez Louise.
And they rejected it.
Wow.
Because it sounds like they're really, my guess is they're deep into talks with the Yankees. There's something that's going on between those two, because we heard a few days ago that they had mentioned names back and forth.
Yeah, Salas is 6.
Yeah, so the number 6 prospect in all of baseball, the Padres were offering for Garrett Crochet, and they rejected it flat out.
Wow, that's crazy.
You believe that?
Dallas, I think, is like 18, so he's still a couple years away from the show.
Yeah.
So like number 2 and I didn't realize. I forgot. I must have missed this. The number 2 prospect and number 4 prospect are both outfielders from the Nationals.
Yep.
James Wood and Dylan Cruz.
Yep. And what's scary is that they rejected that, which tells me that there's probably more talks between the White Sox and Yankees that no one knows about yet.
Yeah.
The fact that the White Sox are pretty much saying we want to deal with strictly the Yankees, and if we're willing to move off of Spencer Jones and take Chase Hampton in a deal surrounding him, which Bob Nightingale did report as you had put out.
Yeah. Let's see. The White Sox have the number 16 prospect, Colson Montgomery. He is a shortstop.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a left-handed pitcher at 18, Noah Scholes.
Mm-hmm.
And then who's next on the White Sox here? Let's look through the scroll down. That's 16 and 18, and then they have not seeing anybody else yet. Hold on. Oh, here we go. Edgar Quiero, who's a catcher, at 73.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not Ethan Salas. So
Yeah.
and who else do we have? The White Sox.
Jasson Dominguez is 25.
25, and then if you look at Baseball America, Spencer Jones is 15.
Yeah.
So,
but the fact that they're willing to take Chase Hampton instead of Spencer Jones means they want to get something done.
Yeah.
Because if they immediately pivoted and said, okay, you know what? We may not get Spencer Jones in this, which is what we absolutely want, but we'll take Chase Hampton.
Yeah. And the fact of the matter is, like, whether it's Garrett Crochet or Tarek Skubal, like, I think a lot of fans can agree, like, we, for the most part, feel better about either one of those guys being the number 2 behind Cole in the playoffs more than we do Rodon. We were hoping for Rodon to be that shutdown number 2, but he has not shown to be that yet.
Yep.
So would I like for him to be a shutdown number 3? Sure, I'll take
Very
that.
true.
I'll take that. But like at this point, Crochet seems to be the most realistic.
Yeah.
Skubal seems to be a little bit of a pipe dream, even though they have the same controllable years. But Crochet is a converted reliever moving up to starter. Skubal has been a starter all along.
Here is where my thinking is.
And Crochet's 25, by the way, guys.
Yeah.
25. He's young.
Jazz and Crochet to the Yankees, as time goes on, will become more realistic than what most people will think.
Probably.
And I say that because let's look at it from, a fan standpoint, and then we'll look at it from a team standpoint. So as a fan standpoint, there are fans who want, Jazz to come here, then there's some that's not. But if you look at it from a realistic fan standpoint, Jazz and Crochet to the Yankees seems much more realistic as each day goes on, for the simple fact that the White Sox are very gung-ho about having a fire sale, and Crochet being the top guy, and them having now talks. And if you look back to the whole Soto thing, how there was, when names were exchanged, that's when they got deeper and deeper and deeper into talks. They went down
guys, if you haven't heard, names are being exchanged right now between the White Sox and the Yankees. That's already happening. It's been happening since yesterday. So and it took a few days between the Yankees and the Padres once they
got it started. That's when everything kind of fell into place.
Yep.
Also, Jazz is 26.
Yep.
So that's when.
Also with 2 more years after the share.
Okay. And with the Yankees, and now the Marlins are saying that the 2 teams that they will strictly do business with for Jazz Chisholm is the Yankees and Mariners. Now, mind you, folks, each of the Yankees and the Mariners have what the Marlins want. But the Yankees have the advantage because you've got Vivas, you've got Trevino, you've got Narvaez, you've got guys who are ready to produce now. The Mariners don't. They maybe have 1 or 2 guys. The Yankees have more. So if we go back to the Yankees' top 30 prospect list,
Jonathan,
what they have now.
Jonathan, what's happening, buddy?
Hi.
So what's your take on this?
Look, I know the White Sox want Jones. If we're going for Crochet, Jones will probably be.
I was talking to Maz about that. They've progressed from
They have.
Jones and Hampton to Jones or Hampton.
So now it's either
The
or.
latest Bob Nightingale reporting.
Okay, so since that is the case, I think Hampton. The only reason why I would choose Hampton is let me put it the other way. The only person I really wanted to trade Jones for was Corbin Burnes. Corbin Burnes I would have traded the farm for, like Burnes, Jones, anybody, and Hampton. But the reason why I don't trade Jones right now, the deadline is in case Soto walks. If we sign Soto long term, then I might explore trading Jones for a young starting pitcher. Because we won't have who. Right now, I don't know.
Me personally, I'm more willing to trade Dominguez than I am than Jones. Okay,
yeah.
My list, it's not even on one hand; it's like half a hand. Like if my fingers were nubs, it would be that. Like I wouldn't have, and I'm even less interested in trading them within the division.
No,
I don't want to trade Dominguez or freaking Spencer Jones to the Rays and have them punish us for the next decade. Like.
No, I personally don't want to trade in the division, and everybody loves the Yankees prospects. I believe the past 2 or 3 Rule 5 drafts, the Yankees got soaked from their prospects.
Yeah, we get the Rule 5 draft. The Yankees get looted more than any other team in Rule 5.
And like you mentioned on a previous post, they always. Whenever they want to trade, they always try to get the maximum from the Yankees, even though they from another team they might ask for the number 7 or the number 8 prospect instead of the number 1 or 2.
Here's the thing, though, and Jonathan brought up Corbin Burnes.
I wouldn't have traded.
I was not willing to trade Spencer Jones for a year of Corbin Burnes.
Not for 1 year of him.
Now, if you had like 3 years of Corbin Burnes, maybe that's a different story. But you have 1 year of Corbin Burnes.
Me neither. I wouldn't have given him Dominguez either for 1 year Burnes. I would have given him Hampton and Broderick Harris and guys like that, but not Dominguez or Jones for Burnes.
Is there any player right now available or not available you would trade Spencer Jones for?
No. Not one single player. You would have to give him realistically, if the White Sox wanted Spencer Jones, you'd have to throw in Kopech and Luis Robert in that deal to make it more worth my while.
And Mason, like we're getting these people are asking they're asking for Spencer Jones and Jasson Dominguez for Mason Miller. I'm like,
no.
Please
I'm not giving up my top 2 prospects for a guy who has UCL injury or UCL issues and is a ticking time bomb for Tommy John surgery.
Yeah, he's got nasty stuff. Don't get me wrong, but he missed 4 months last year with a UCL sprain. So that's it. And like I said, if you want to take Jones and Dominguez, fine. You're going to take Stanton's contract. You're going to take DJ's contract too.
Yeah.
And they're going to pay it. We're not.
You want to play in the rain, you got to deal with the mud. Period.
That's also that would be an interesting scenario.
There's no way the A's are going to absorb that type of contract.
No. The A's will not add any money. They're too cheap, and they want to move. They're moving to a new field,
which is why the Orioles make the most sense for Mason Miller because they have the farm that they can give them.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, and the Phillies also have the farm, but they also have the balls to pull it off.
Yeah, and the Orioles have been building a team that fits that stadium perfectly. They're not building a team based on power. They're building a team based on speed and contact. Because the only right-handed players that can hit the ball out of there are Judge and guys can hit the ball 450 feet.
So I am not a hard pass on Paredes. I actually am a fan of Paredes. I like
Paredes too. I think he's going to cost he would cost one of Dominguez or one of Jones, right?
But I don't want to trade Jones or Dominguez within my division.
Yeah, I don't want to
at all. The only person the only way I trade Dominguez is if we're getting something nice in return. But and again,
And again, Paredes got 3 years after this year. He's a Super 2 player, so that means he gets 4 years of arbitration instead of 3. So he's not afraid until 2028, and he's a good contact bat. He fits the Yankees' need just like Ryan McMahon does at a much lower price.
Another player that I would love to trade for, and he's definitely not available, probably Ronaldo Lopez. But he's on Atlanta, and Atlanta is not trading him.
Yeah, what position does he play?
He's a relief pitcher.
Relief pitcher?
But Jason, I got
Ronaldo Lopez has started this year. He's starting this year.
I've got a blockbuster for Philly that would really put them over the top.
What's that?
So the Phillies and the A's link up and make a deal. The Phillies would give up, we go to their top 30, would give up Aiden Miller, their number 2 prospect, shortstop, third baseman, Justin Crawford, an outfielder who's their number 3 prospect, Starlin Cava, their number 4 prospect, who's a shortstop, Ryan Rincon, their number 7 prospect, who is also a shortstop, as well as Griff McGarry, who is the number 10 prospect and a right-handed pitcher. And in return, they would get what's his name from Oakland?
Mason Miller?
No, the outfielder.
Brent Rooker.
Yep, Brent Rooker and Mason Miller.
It would probably cost 6 guys, probably.
What do you think of the idea of getting Michael Kopech?
I don't think he puts them any further than Tanner Scott does, or Carlos Estevez from the Angels.
I prefer a lefty reliever.
Yeah,
honestly.
Yeah, I mean, right now, Oakland seems to they're on some serious. They must be smoking some serious Buddha over there. Like, if you want Dominguez and Jones for
you're out of your mind.
Yeah, come on. For Mason Miller, let's get rid of him.
That has UCL problems.
Okay. And the reason why I think the Phillies can do that is because Dave Dombrowski is their GM.
Dave Dombrowski would do a move like that.
Yeah, he mortgaged the farm to get championships. Like, he did it for Boston. He won them a title. They've not done it since then, but that's what he does.
Yeah. But I don't think there's any player out there that's worth the top 2 players in your system.
No
way.
But I have a feeling though that the Yankees and White Sox are much deeper in talks than what we think. I am telling you, there's something about the fact that they've already rejected other offers, flat out said no. Even to the Padres' number 1 prospect, that is telling me that the Yankees and White Sox are in deeper talks than what we think.
Yeah, and I got 2 questions here, gang. So Brandon wants to know if they're unable to get Chisholm, if you put the Jonathan India. Yes, yeah, because I don't want to
100%. But I don't see the Yankees getting India.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, you could probably get a reliever. They're already in discussions with the Reds for 2 of their relievers.
Paul Skeens. Pirates will never trade Paul Skeens.
Pirates are not moving Paul Skeens. No way.
There's 2 teams I see Jonathan India going to: Kansas City and Seattle.
Yeah, he could go there. Yeah, Seattle's looking for a second baseman. Yeah. And yes, Kopech does give us innings, and Scott can close. This is the thing, close alongside Holmes, and I'm glad you brought that up, Mel. Anybody that they trade for with the intention of replacing Holmes cannot also be a free agent at the end of this year. like Holmes.
Absolutely.
He has to have multiple years in his contract left. There's no way you bring in Tanner Scott to replace Holmes when they're both going to be free agents at the end
That
of the year.
doesn't work.
You bring in Tanner Scott to complement Holmes.
Now,
Right.
what you could do is, if they were ballsy enough, trade for Crochet, make him close alongside Holmes, and then go out and get a starter like a Tyler Anderson from the Angels.
You think Crochet can close?
Easily.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think that's the $1 million question too. Like whoever acquires him, whether it's the Yankees, do they keep him in the rotation?
No,
So, and that's the
I
thing.
don't think they do. So if the Yankees get Crochet, which at this point is looking more and more realistic, like I mentioned earlier, I think they will put him in the bullpen to help with Holmes. And then I think they will go and acquire. Now, let's say they get Crochet. Let's say they get Chisholm to, just for all intents and purposes. I think they call up the Angels for Tyler Anderson.
They could. They could. I mean, and here's another question too. If they get Crochet, right, with the concerns about him moving up the starter, with Clark Schmidt coming back, do they go to a 6-man rotation for the rest of the year? Spread out Crochet's innings.
No.
And spread out. We don't know, right?
I think if they got Crochet and Clark Schmidt were coming back, they might try Crochet as the closer.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's probably what they would do. Mind you, Crochet has closer's experience. It's not like hasn't closed out games before, because he has. He would be that dominant lefty that we could use.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if the Dodgers.
Javi's. I mean, I agree with Javi. Like I'm keeping an eye
I
on
don't disagree with it. I don't know what big name they would get.
Randy Rosarena, one of those, something like that.
I think they could. I think that's probably. You know what I see them doing, and I'm glad you brought that up, Javi. I see him getting both a Rosarena and Paredes.
And that would be crazy.
Wow.
Who the hell's the Dodgers third baseman?
Exactly.
I mean, that would make them World Series favorite in the National League, right?
That's exactly my point. I could see them getting a Rosarena to play the outfield and sit Hayward, and then go and get Paredes with him.
What were you gonna say, Jonathan?
I'm looking at who's playing third base for the Dodgers. It's
Gavin Lux, maybe.
No, Gavin Lux, I think, is playing short for them.
Sure.
Kevin Biggio.
Kevin Biggio, I think, is playing second.
Enrique Hernandez, probably.
It might be.
Well, Paredes would be number 3 on those guys at third base.
The guy they have on there.
Miguel Rojas.
Biggio, yeah,
That's
Miguel
who it
Rojas. That's the other guy.
Paredes would be better than either one of those guys.
Yeah.
Rojas is currently batting .284 with 3 home runs.
And they've got James Outman, who they just sent down. They've got Andy Paez, who's playing center for them. Jason Hayward's on the IL. Teoscar's playing left, so you put a Rosarena in right with Paredes at third.
That's a big, like.
I'm telling you, don't sleep on that.
Yeah.
By the way, here's a little tidbit of information for you. Yamamoto's on the IL of the 60-day IL.
Yeah, he just got moved to the 60-day.
I'm aware of that.
Now, keep in mind, gang, when you get moved over to 60-day, most of the time it's procedural. It's not a new 60 days starting from when you get moved to the 60. They're not adding 60 days to the IL trip. Okay, It's going to be procedural to make room to get them off the 40-man. So whenever you get moved to the 60-day IL, you get knocked off the 40-man to make clear.
Yeah, this is, as you said, the 60-day IL is basically taking off the roster temporarily.
It's most of the time it's procedural, unless there are certain situations that require it. Yes.
But yeah, no, I do think that those will probably be the big names they get. Those are Rosarena and Paredes.
I think the Dodgers are probably 2 moves away. I think the Phillies are one move away.
Well, here's another question. Do you think Frost will come in against lefty and righty batters?
Probably. You got a lot of movement on those pitches, so.
Be right back.
Because he's the one pitcher that we're gonna get back when we return.
Mm-hmm.
So he's gonna be I think he's gonna be a boost in the bullpen.
Mm-hmm.
And that maybe that's another question. Can Efros close better than Holmes?
I don't know. We'll see. And Ken, you make an important point too. One of the things that we've already got reporting on is that the White Sox have already rejected 2 trades for Crochet. One of them was with the Padres. They offered Ethan Salas, who's the number 6 prospect in all of baseball, as a catcher. They rejected that. And there's another team. I don't remember who the team was. It might have been the Mariners or something like that. They rejected trade offers from 2 teams for prospects that are rated higher than Jones and higher than Dominguez. So, to me, it tells me that they're probably liking the Yankees prospects more.
Well,
So,
my
I'm not
the only
really.
prediction I will make is the Yankees will make a trade that involves a lot of multiple pitchers.
I think they're going to make a couple of trades.
Yeah.
And any trade that happens at second base is going to be 2 trades. They're going to bring somebody in, and they're going to send Torres out another trade.
Yeah, I also think Torres will get traded.
If they bring in Chisholm or something like that, then it has to trade Torres. Why would you keep him then? Right?
Yeah.
So
I'm guessing this trade deadline will be a very active trade deadline.
it's going to be very active. And we got the 4th member of the 4 Horsemen here, NFE from Strike Zone. What's up, dude?
You still got light.
He's on a different time zone.
Yeah, you're on Colorado, huh? That's right, baby. I think you're muted. NFE. And you're gone.
Maybe he needs headphones. I don't think he was wearing headphones.
Does anybody regret not trading Corbin Burnes? Nope.
No.
I don't regret not getting Burnes. Not for 1 year. I wasn't going to give Dominguez or Jones for 1 year Burnes. No.
I regret not drafting him when he was available.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been nice to be drafted him.
He went in the 4th round.
Yes, he did. NFE,
So
can you hear
every
us?
team passed on him 3 times, at least.
Can you hear us, NFE?
I can hear you.
All right.
Yeah.
Now we can hear you, man. What's happening, man? What's happening, bud?
Not a whole lot, man. Just waiting for this second half of the season to begin so we can, get the show on the road.
What's your take on this stuff? Like, the 3 most frequently talked about names right now are Tarek Skubal, Garrett Crochet, well, actually 4 names, Mason Miller, and Isaac Paredes for the Yankees. And
Jazz Chisholm.
Jazz Chisholm, too. But those 4 names would be kind of blockbuster trades. Chisholm would be, I think, probably the best trade that they can make if they can get a reliever with it, too. On paper would be considered a blockbuster trade. But all these guys would require some combination of Hampton, Dominguez, Spencer Jones, right? Would you be willing to move any of those guys for any 4 of those players?
Well, for Skubal, I mean, he's a solid left-handed starter.
He's got 2 more years left after this year too before he's a free agent.
Right. 2 more years of control. He's a starting pitcher. You might be tempted to trade either Dominguez or Spencer Jones for him in a package.
Bless you. Somebody was saying both of them.
No way.
No, I had the top 100 prospects up before. The number 10 prospect in all of baseball is an outfield prospect from the Detroit Tigers. So for that reason alone, he's ranked above Dominguez and Jones. For that reason alone, I'm not giving both of them to the Tigers.
I'm giving one. I'm not giving both.
No way.
There's no way. Yeah, there's no way I would give up both of them for Tarek Skubal. There's absolutely no way. Now for Garrett Crochet, I mean, I wouldn't trade neither Jones or Dominguez.
Yeah, they don't want. It's either Jones or Hampton that they want.
Yeah, it sounds.
I'd be okay to give up Hampton if I had a pick out of the 2. I'd be okay to give up Hampton because Crochet is to me, he's not a starter.
No, he's not.
He's not a starter. He's a reliever. He's a relief pitcher. That's what he is. He got converted into a starter, but that guy, he's a relief pitcher all the way.
And as opposed to Skubal, who's been a starter from day one.
Right.
I
Right.
think
So
for
you
me,
can justify trading away either a Jasson Dominguez or a Spencer Jones, because Skubal is a starter, and he's a great starter too at that.
Yeah.
I think for me, the one Yankee prospect I would not trade is probably Henry Lalani.
I don't know enough about him. He's in single A. I don't buy the hype enough right now. His performance doesn't justify the hype, in my opinion. Looking at the numbers, it don't justify it. That's just me, though.
Yeah, no doubt. But when I don't want to go back to the off season, but I'm going back to the off season though for a reason. So folks were talking about at one point, like there's some fans that are still saying that they would have traded Spencer Jones for in a package to get Dylan Cease, to which I still say no to that.
Yeah,
Absolutely not.
That too.
It's not like Dylan Cease is some elite pitcher. Now, some people were saying the same thing for Corbin Burnes. I would have only done that if Corbin Burnes came with another year or two of control.
Yeah.
Then I would have been okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as Spencer Jones and Jasson Dominguez goes, if I'm trading one of those guys, I better be getting back a great starter.
Yeah, I mean, and the other names, Mason Miller. Some people are saying you're gonna have to give up both.
No way.
And
Not a chance.
and I said this before, the only scenario in the world I would give both of them is if you guys are going to take Stanton's contract and DJ's contract in return. And I know you're not going to do that. So I know I'm not going to have to give up both of them. All right?
Well, Stan would have to waive his no trade clause, right?
Yes, he would.
Yeah.
DJ has a no trade also.
And so would DJ.
DJ is a 5'10" guy.
DJ's a 5'10" guy, so he could veto it. So that's the only and for that reason I know a trade wouldn't happen. So
right.
I know you're not going to get Dominguez and Jones. There's no way in the world.
No.
So,
not for a guy who's got UCL problems.
So fans don't want Mason Miller anyway. I know some people do, but not me.
I mean,
I'm very hesitant of getting a guy with an injury history.
Yeah, I worry about it too, man. He missed 4 months last year.
Something though, it's funny because people are like, "Oh, we should trade Spencer Jones for Jesus Luzardo, Mr. Injury."
I mean, when they're talking about this, they're forgetting about one guy who could be coming back real soon, and that is Clark Schmidt.
Mm-hmm.
And Clark Schmidt was pitching like an ace before he got injured.
Yeah, he's pitching to like a 2.80 ERA too.
I think he had a 2.50 plus ERA.
Somewhere around there. He was pitching extremely well. Extremely well. And I know some people think that Mason Miller.
If we can get Clark Schmidt back at full health, pitching the way he was, that's just as good as trading for a number one starter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's one thing everybody who's proposing trade is not thinking about.
Yeah. And going back to Mason Miller for a second, which is why I think the Orioles make the most sense, because they can give up the most prospects to the team that doesn't like to pay players. So somebody mentioned the Mets earlier today. I'm like, the only way the Mets are going to give them up is if you have to give up Acuna's little brother and your top 3 prospects, at least 1, 2, 3. To get Miller.
I don't think he'll go to the Mets though.
The Mets are eating a lot of money.
Yeah, and he alone doesn't put the Mets over the Phillies and the Braves.
The Mets aren't one player away from winning. That's the problem. So I don't see them making a trade like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I thought that was kind of a crazy proposal there. And again, Luzardo's injury prone. A lot of those Marlins pitchers we talked were injury prone. Like Mel's saying, we need Scott and India. I mean, Scott and Chisholm or Scott and India, I'm fine with. And again, for those that haven't heard, I said like any reliever that's going to be free agent after this year has to be brought in to complement Holmes, not replace him. So if you're going to replace Holmes, if that's your goal, you got to have somebody like Nardi or Crochet. It's got to get multiple years left on his contract. That's the only scenario that makes sense if you want to replace Clay Holmes.
Yeah, at this point, I know a lot of players are being discussed, right? You know, Crochet, Mason Miller, all these guys, but Tarek Skubal. But at the end of the day, every time we talk like this, I keep going back to the Marlins because they just make the most sense.
Yep.
They have exactly what the Yankees need. There's another pitcher that fans are talking about. I think his name is Estevez.
Mm-hmm.
Carlos Estevez from the Angels.
Yeah,
He's
from
their
the
closer.
Angels. Yeah, I mean he could be somebody. I mean the Angels aren't going anywhere. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he comes with some years of control.
And Jason, you've been talking about the trade between the Yankees and the Marlins for the past 3 years.
I have. I have. They're logical trade partners. They have what the other team needs. And and again, and even Ryan brought this up the other day from Five Star Yankees. Scott and Nardi would be a hell of a get for the Yankees.
So here's another question: do any of you see Torres get traded?
No.
If they trade for a second baseman, I see Torres getting traded. Not before that. They have to bring in a second baseman before they can trade him out. It's the only scenario I see when it happening.
No, I don't know.
I could very well be wrong on this, but I still see Torres finishing the year out as a Yankee.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I say the only scenario I see him leaving is if they bring in Chisholm or they bring in India. That's the only scenario where it makes sense to trade him. Right?
Yeah, and if you trade him though, I mean, you're not going to get a lot for him.
No, you're not. Maybe if you get into the international money or a fringe prospect or something like that. I mean, but we got freaking Clayton Beater for Joey Gallo, so I'm sure Kelsey can find somebody that he can, just give noogies to, and somebody will give a decent prospect for. So,
well, the trade deadline is in 13 days.
Yep.
July 30th at 6 p.m., I believe.
Yep.
So that will be a day where you're gonna go online, and every 5 minutes there's
going to be something.
Someone's going to be traded. There's going to be a fire sale of.
And I can guarantee you now, there's going to be. I'm almost certain the Yankees are going to be involved.
Here's another question, and on that day, is there any trade you do not expect happening, but will happen? Is there any trade that will absolutely blow your mind? That how could this have done?
I think the Dodgers or Padres are going to make some trade that no one's thinking about, and maybe even the Mariners. And even the Guardians. Maybe I'm not going to put it past the Guardians. One of those teams are going to make a trade that we're going to be like, "Oh shit, did that just happen?" It happens every year. Like last year, like it happens every year with teams.
I said the Dodgers were going to get a Rosarena and Paredes from Tampa because I can see that.
Yeah. And Tampa is going to get good players from the Dodgers. Tampa never loses any trades.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really don't know what's going to happen. Like, obviously, we don't know what's going to happen, but we don't know what other teams are going to be involved because have you seen the National League and where those teams are as far as wild card?
There's like 12 teams.
Yeah, and they're not far away from each other. Like they're all.
Yeah. And to your point, they've expanded the playoffs by 2 teams, so it's going to be even more difficult at the trade.
The American League has become a bloodbath.
So I mean, I am going. For those that don't know, I'm going live from 12 to 6 on trade deadline day, 6 hours straight. So, and you guys can hop on for bits and pieces if you want to do that, and I'm just going to have people kind of rotating in and out.
Yeah, I'll probably be free around 4 that day.
All right. But I'll keep you. And again, I might be after maybe 6:30, 7 o'clock. Because generally, once the deadline happens, usually the next hour you get a couple of deals trickling in. They agree to it at 5:57, and you'll find out at 6:25 or whatever the hell it was.
There's always a half an hour or an hour of new reporting.
So I'll probably be live for 7. So
you said
July
12 to
30th.
6, Jason?
What's that? 12. Well, it's probably gonna be 12 to 7.
Okay. I could probably hop on for a little bit.
And that's gonna be, I believe that's going to be on the 30th.
It's the 30th. It'll be 12 to 6, 12 to 7 Eastern time. I'll have the MLB Network on in front of me so that we'll get all the latest as it comes in.
Yeah.
So
I'll probably hop on after I'm done choking a few folks. So
yeah, dude. Choking a few folks makes it easier for the trade deadline.
it really does.
It does.
Gets my mind clear.
Yeah. Like that. It's just and when you come on and be like, oh, by the way, this trade happened. Oh, by the way, I choked 3 people out. That's like that. That's the way it has to be that day.
Yeah.
No
doubt. No doubt.
But that's going to be. That day is going to be crazy. It usually is on the trade deadline.
Also, Jason, currently there are 6 teams in both leagues that are less than 4 games out of the wild card.
12 teams. 12 teams in contention that are not already in. You have the teams that are already in, which is what, 6? So that's 18 teams right now in contention.
So
it's nuts.
It's crazy.
We have 3 teams in the American League East that are within 5.5 games or less.
It's nuts.
Of the wild card.
It's totally freaking nuts.
Yeah, and you never know. One of these teams that we're not thinking about could go on a last-minute run in August and September.
The Mets have the 3rd wild card?
The Mets, yeah.
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 I mean, think about if the Rays made the right trades and they blew past everybody in September.
They've already shipped out like 2 guys.
I think the Rays are trying to go for the wild card spot, maybe even the East.
They're like the only team that ships out players and still makes the playoffs. So
well, Tampa's got a weird way of making the playoffs.
Their farm is crazy good,
But I don't see Baltimore missing the playoffs unless they go downhill.
Yeah,
no, Baltimore is definitely not missing the playoffs.
No. They're gonna add something at the deadline.
Yeah, Baltimore had the number 1 farm system. Everybody is gonna be wanting their prospects.
Yep.
I've been saying between the first place and the AL East is going to be either obviously the Yankees or the Orioles, but whoever finishes in first place, it's not going to be by much.
I would agree. I think it's going to be 2 teams right down to the last week.
Yeah, it's not going to be.
And if anybody thinks Jackson Holiday is not a good player, I think he was brought up too early.
He's not ready yet. He's a good player, but he's not ready
yet. I think he will be a great player next year.
Yep. Somebody was mentioning Chris Bryant. I mean, the problem with Chris Bryant, he's batting like 180. He hasn't been good for a couple of years now.
And he has a lot of money attached to him.
He has like 6 more years at $23 million a year or $26 million.
Don't forget he's injury prone.
And he's injury prone, yeah. So that's not going to make sense. I mean, you could probably get him on the dirt cheap, but the Rockies would have to eat half that contract, maybe even more.
3/4 of it.
Yeah.
And based on that comment, Torres is a free agent. Bryant is making $23 million. Who would you rather have on your team?
Torres.
Yeah. I mean,
listen, I'm going to jump off.
All right, dude.
But thank you for having me. If I hear anything on Crochet or John or
I'm looking right now just to see.
Yes, I'll tell you.
I'm looking at.
I haven't heard anything. Nothing's broken yet.
So there's an article here from the New York Post. This is John Heyman. The only reason the Yankees should consider trading Spencer Jones is for Tarek Skubal. This is right from.
John Heyman's an idiot.
Yeah, John.
He's the one who started that Austin Judge comment, didn't he?
Yeah, yes, it was.
So I think ever since that day, I take everything what he says with a grain of salt.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think he's the most reliable source of information.
I don't either.
So
I look for corroborating source. And there's another article
But
here.
if Jack Curry says anything about it, then he's one of my top guys.
Mm-hmm. Jack Curry's, I tend to like, his reporting is pretty darn good. But at the end of the day, the Yankees are going to have to pay a ransom for whoever they're going to get.
No.
I see them probably making 3 trades, maybe 4.
Yeah.
We'll see.
all right, boys.
All right, Mazza. Pleasure, brother.
So,
I'll wrap it up in a few minutes too, gang.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Soto, Jones, and Jasson Dominguez, if that's possible. But I don't think that's going to happen, Mello, until Aaron Judge takes over at DH for Giancarlo Stanton.
Judge is probably going to play at least 3 or 4 more years in the outfield.
I would agree.
And I don't think Judge is as fragile as a guy like Stanton.
Judge, no. But, Stanton just had some really unfortunate injuries, man. He's supposed to be back right after the All-Star break too, without any rehab games. So the first game in baseball for everybody is Friday, and we get the Rays. And after the Rays, we have 4 games against the Rays at home, and then we get the Mets after that.
What would the Yankees be like if they didn't get Stanton and sign Harper?
I don't know. Because Harper had a bunch of injuries too.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, exactly. That was gonna be the thing I was gonna say was Harper. He's been injury prone.
Yeah, Tommy John.
Yeah, when he's been with the Phillies, he's been injury prone. And honestly, it's not a knock on Bryce Harper when I ask this question, but has he been a big difference maker for the Phillies? In terms of like regular season, he's a killer. Playoffs, yeah, he can kill it in the playoffs, but we've seen they like what we saw in the 2023 playoffs, like they lost to the Diamondbacks. I mean,
yes, they did.
I'm just saying, like he hasn't been.
There's no guarantee that Harper would have led us to championships. No guarantee that any, but like we can't. As much as emotionally we can say that, but like there's no way we can prove it. So
No,
the Diamondbacks really came out of nowhere to win.
So did the Texas Rangers.
And Rangers.
Both wild card teams. Neither one of them won the division.
These days, winning the division doesn't really mean a lot. Ever since they expanded the playoff, winning the division doesn't really mean a lot.
You just have to get in now. You have to just get in the postseason, and then anything can happen.
Yeah.
And you have to have the right pieces, which is why it looks like the Yankees know that they need a starting pitcher that's got ice in his veins, right? And, as much as I would love Schmidt to be the guy, we can't bank on it because he's coming off an injury. So Skubal or Crochet would probably be that guy for this year, I'm guessing. But it's going to cost a freaking premium.
Yeah.
And
well, as I said earlier, I think the Yankees are going to make a trade regarding a lot of pitching prospects, and that's solely based on their draft.
Yeah,
they wouldn't have drafted majority pitchers if they don't plan to trade a bunch of them.
14 out of 20 draft picks were pitchers.
Yeah.
14 out of 20. And again, it's not saying that they're going to trade these draft picks because they can't do that yet, but they haven't signed yet. So, but they could trade guys like Hampton and Brock Selby, like those guys. They could trade.
I think draft picks are only available to be traded after the season.
They have to be signed too. Yeah, I mean, that's the next thing. We were talking about yesterday, right, Jonathan? Like Rob Manfred showed that baseball is willing to trade in the next collective bargaining agreement. Baseball is showing that they're willing to trade draft picks in the next.
Yeah, and that's something I've supported. I think that's a good idea, and I think it would make the draft more exciting,
more watchable. It's like that's one reason why I watch the football draft. When I go to the draft, right? It's like, holy shit, you just traded these 3 draft picks for this guy.
The one thing that will happen if they do that, I think the first round will be 10 minutes instead of 5 minutes.
Probably.
Because you need that longer time for negotiation and trades.
Yeah. It would probably be the first round in day one, and that's it, instead of the first 2 rounds.
Yeah,
Unless you start the draft much earlier.
yeah, and unless you draft, yeah, you might have to start the draft at 6 p.m. instead of 7.
For 10 rounds, you probably have to start at like 2, like the other days.
Yeah,
I'm guessing. Kikuchi, he's a guy that possibly they can bring in for depth, but I don't think they're looking for somebody to, I think, be an equalizer at the top. And I don't know if they mean, with the exception of Kikuchi shutting us down on opening day at Yankee Stadium, what else has he done?
yeah. I think the Blue Jays are an irrelevant team this year.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's Boston's going to be the one that I'm looking back, for. So, and they're like chasing the Yankees while the Yankees are chasing those.
And did you say that there'd been rumors that Vlad Guerrero Jr. is now willing to come to play for the Yankees?
That's what the reporting said, but like that could just be smokescreen too. He could just be blowing smoke up our butts. So for all we know,
I don't know if I even would want him on the Yankees. I'm not sure if he's good for the clubhouse.
I can't see teams like that trading a player of that magnitude within the division.
No.
And why the hell would you trade him to the Yankees? Like,
No.
I can't see it.
Right now, I think isn't Guerrero like the Blue Jays' #1 player? So if they trade him, who do they have to replace him?
I don't know. I mean, there was talks about potentially him being traded to the Astros. There's also been talks about the Mets Pete Alonso being traded to the Astros too. So I just don't know who either team who has at first base to replace these guys. They probably would have to make a trade in additional, unless you're not going to get first base prospects. So I don't know. But I mean, if Vlad Guerrero came here, he would have to bat fourth after Judge behind before Soto. That's like the best place to put him.
And honestly, I really don't want another $23 million on the payroll for a hitter.
No. He's a good hitter, don't get me wrong, but like we have other needs. And with Ben Rice playing, he could be a fixture here for first base for a little while.
Yeah, Ben Rice seemed like a legitimate first baseman. He just needs to. He's getting better at the plate discipline.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with time, he's probably the only player I can see the Yankees getting at first base. Maybe Murakami, maybe.
I don't know, because he would cost probably $250 million.
He's going to cost a lot of money, yes.
So is this other guy, Roki Sasaki.
I think Roki Sasaki. I think the Yankees are probably targeting Roki Sasaki.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
I know they were all in for Yamamoto.
Yeah. And I don't blame them for not going over. Like, I wouldn't have paid him more than Cole either.
Yamamoto's on the 60-day IL now.
Yeah.
So maybe the Yankees did dodge the bullet.
It was a good thing they missed out on him.
And Army Chow, I've said this probably a year now. He might be delayed a year. Do you know why he would be delayed a year? Because he asked to be posted early, but his team can say no. Because they would be forfeiting probably $40-50 million in posting fees if they post them early. So, and that would make him subject to the pre-arb and arb. He'd have a 6-month or 6-year cheap window before he gets paid in the majors. And like pre-arb, you stay at the minimum. Arb is where you can make more money, but not pre-arb. So,
well, he has to wait until he's 25.
If he can wait till he's 25, then he's not subject to any of that stuff. He can come right into the majors with a huge contract.
So he only have to wait I think it's 3 years.
2 more years. So like
2 more years.
This is why I think he might be delayed a year or 2 years. It doesn't make sense for them to post him early and lose all that money. Why would you do that?
It wouldn't make sense for the team or Sasaki. The team would be losing money and the player would be losing money.
Yeah, Sasaki would be losing like $100 million. Why would you do that?
He's probably going to be posted after 26.
Probably. And we'll see if he's as good then. We'll see. Until then, I'm not really worrying about Sasaki.
No.
I'm
I
not.
know I know you talked about him because he was another big name along with Yamamoto last year.
Yeah, I don't like joining the hype train. You know that, like,
Yeah.
I don't do that stuff. So at least me. It's not like
Wow.
I wasn't, I didn't think Yamamoto's gonna be a savior like some other people were saying. Is he even saving the Dodgers? Not really. So, he's just like anybody else. He gets hurt in major leagues. Human. Happens.
Wow.
Just saying, just like anybody else. Not saying he's not good. He is good, but I knew he wasn't going to have a 170 ERA in the majors every year.
No.
No freaking way. Not with all the people he's facing here. No way.
And I didn't know very much about the guy in the Cubs
Oh, Shota Imanaga.
and Imanaga. I didn't know he was going to be so much better than Yamamoto.
People thought I was on dope when I said I think Imanaga was going to be the best Japanese pitcher this year in the majors.
Yeah.
People thought I was crazy. I said it like a dozen times.
And I think
you heard me, Anna. You probably heard me say it.
yes. And
Yeah.
I think I mentioned to you on a previous post game, if the Yankees miss out on Yamamoto, I think they should get
Dude,
Imanaga.
I did like 3 months. I talked about Imanaga before these guys were posted.
Maybe Cashman should hire you.
I've suggested not Yamamoto, but Imanaga as well. But I was getting a lot of resistance from other people saying that he wouldn't be great, and he's a big flat. He's got
he gives up a lot of home runs in Japan, so he's going to give up a lot of home runs in the majors.
In which he hasn't. He's been doing well this season. He's been better than Yamamoto.
He pitched last night in the All-Star game.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I think is he the first Japanese pitcher since Tanaka in the All-Star game?
Probably. Michael Ryan, I don't know who you're talking to, but nobody's counting out Yamamoto. I said he was going to be the best pitcher in the majors this year, Japanese, and he is. So, and that's a fact. Nobody's opinion changed that. I'm not counting.
Imanaga is having a better year than Yamamoto this year.
Yeah.
Next year could be a different story.
Could be a different story, but I said this year he was going to be the best Japanese pitcher. He was going to transition the easiest. And he's a crafty lefty. And you got, you have Craig Counsell over there. It was a good fit for him. It was a good fit in Chicago. Good fit. So, oh, right. Yeah, I know. Michael, people thought I was on dope. People thought I was nuts. And I'm not. I don't do that stuff. So,
I remember when the Dodgers signed Yamamoto, like so many Yankees fans were like, "Oh my God, this is in the World Series team. They're not contenders. Oh, that pitching rotation is gonna suck." I'm like, "All right, whatever you say."
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think 2 weeks later they got Soto.
Yeah, and they got Stroman in that period, and they got Verdugo in that period too.
Well, they got Verdugo, Soto like back-to-back days, and I think Yamamoto signed like a couple of weeks later. I want to say
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the Yankees went quiet on the pitching front. There was those Blake Snell rumors going around, and by the way, those Blake Snell rumors, as far as what was reported, as far as reportedly what the Yankees offered, according to Brian Cashman, those weren't even the numbers.
Yeah. Like, I don't know who reported that stuff. Like, I didn't think they were going to offer him $30 million a year.
Well, it was not the $30 million. Reportedly, what the Yankees offered was like this. It was like 6 years for $125, or it was going to end up being like $25 million a year.
6 years for $150 or something like that. But like
something like that, yeah. But supposedly that wasn't even what was offered, according to Brian Cashman.
That 25 automatically gets doubled here. It's 50 a year for Blake Snell. Would you pay $50 million a year for Blake Snell? Like being over the threshold.
That is Soto money.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're gonna get 50 million. Like you're gonna get the justifiable production out of Soto.
Yeah.
And
so many people were barking that the Yankees need to sign Snell. They need to sign Josh Hader. I'm like, really?
Yeah, Josh Hader. Come on, whatever.
Yeah, but
I remember we heard it a lot.
Josh Hader.
I keep the not to dwell on the Josh Hader thing, but I was just like, I kept telling folks, I'm like, I don't want $19 million a year Josh Hader.
No,
or $20 million a year Josh Hader.
That's $40 million here.
Yeah.
Mariano Rivera never made $19 million a year.
But times were different though back then. The payroll, the salaries was all different back then. But even without, if the Yankees were not over the Cohen threshold, I still wouldn't have signed Josh Hader personally. Not for $20 million or $19 million. No way. Absolutely not.
Heck no.
So, would any of you re-sign Holmes?
I think it depends on what they get at the deadline.
Depends on how a season ends up.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, I mean, Clay Holmes. I'm not gonna make any comparisons or anything like that because I know a lot of people like to talk about Mo. I'm not going there.
Personally, nobody can be compared to Mo.
Yeah, no. But Clay Holmes, it's just the thing is there's been a couple of saves that he blew big time, right? Mm-hmm. But there's been a few of those, the blown save falls on him. But what folks fail to realize is that you got to blame some of the defense, especially on the infield. But people want to make the excuse of, oh, well, he it's because of him that they're putting that pressure on the infield. I'm like, the infield has a job to do, okay? Yeah, he may have contributed, but they also are not helping the problem either. So
I was on the train when I heard that he blew the save after being up. I think it was 3 runs in the last game.
Yeah, and that was a catchable ball by Verdugo. He felt
I couldn't watch it. I was on the train. I was getting all these text messaging saying so much anger.
Yeah. Well, okay, look, again, I know that Orioles game on Sunday, it's in the past. We can't go back and change the result, but it's one of those things where he shouldn't have walked those 2 batters. He should have been able to get out of that inning, absolutely. But what people don't realize is that Volpe could have made that. He should have made that ground ball play. He should have made it. Mm-hmm. That's it, and that game would have been over. Mm-hmm. Did he? No, he didn't. He fumbled. He fumbled the ball. So, and then that ball that was hit to Verdugo. I mean, he lost his footing on that one. I don't know what happened on that play, but he lost his footing on that play. And, the ball goes over his head and the Orioles ended up winning. So,
it wouldn't be surprising to me if Volpe is working every day and during the break on his footing in the defense. Because that play has to be on his mind.
Look, I mean, I think it's a double whammy. We need Clay Holmes to be better, and we need, and since he elicits a lot of contact, we need better infield defense.
Yeah.
Whatever we bring in, it's got to be better than what we have now, right? It just has to be. Like Birdie's, he'll give us a shot in the arm. He'll give us some speed and athleticism too. And whoever else, Jazz Chisholm he's +7 defensive run saves at second base. So he's better than what we have now. So is India. So I'm fine with if either one of those guys come here. We just need guys to field the damn ball and throw it in the right place. That's their job, like you said. It's their freaking job to do.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like as much as folks are like to blame Clay Holmes for that game on Sunday, you got to put as much blame on Volpe and Verdugo as well.
Yeah, Verdugo. It looked like he played a little too shallow for that, and then he wasn't ready to step back, and he fell, and that was it. Like that was a catchable ball if he played deeper.
Yeah, that Verdugo.
But that's it. That's it. Like.
But the other question about that? Do you think the outfield is still learning the new wall in Baltimore because they're used to a shorter porch?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if that They play generally. I mean, Cedric Mullins was the batter. They generally play him shallow. No, I think they may have played him too shallow that day. But it is what it is. Like this, and I ask people too, why are we spending so much time looking for who to blame instead of spending some time looking for solutions to make this thing better, right?
Well,
Just people like to focus on a lot of negativity, and they just want to point the finger at somebody. So if it ain't, if it's not Clay Holmes, it's Aaron Boone. If it ain't Aaron Boone, it's Brian Cashman. If it's not,
well, what about this as a possible solution? In the ninth inning, why don't you put your fastest guys in the outfield? And if you have to make a play where you have to run, you have a fast guy that can run. Like when Birdie comes back, he can play the outfield and he's fast.
Mm-hmm.
but you have guys in the outfield that should be able to make plays.
I
Yeah.
know.
And like
So
in
yeah,
that regard too, in that regard, I would have played Trent Grisham in left, moved him over.
sure.
I would probably play him more often because he's offensively contributing more than Verdugo is right now. So I would be playing Grisham a little bit more.
Grisham is solid, man. I like Grisham.
Yeah, he's not that bad.
Yeah.
Not bad at all.
He's actually not that bad.
I also don't see Verdugo on the team next year.
No, I don't think so.
No.
I mean, if Dominguez stays here, he'll probably be his replacement in left field.
I'm not even sure if they give him a QO.
At this point, no, he might not even get that. And on the back of my mind, I'm wondering if the Yankees are quietly looking to trade him at the deadline too.
Maybe.
You know,
I think they will. I think that all depends on how confident they are in Dominguez. Because if they trade Verdugo, then I will not be. I would bring up Dominguez immediately for his replacement.
you can't. He's not even ready yet. He's not ready. He's not going to be ready for probably like another 6 weeks,
6 weeks.
something like that. He just had they said he's still having issues with his recovery.
I'll be honest. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't get brought up at all.
Yeah.
No.
Maybe.
Just based on the way he's rehabbing.
Well,
Yeah. I
he
mean,
might be up in September.
you could essentially, I mean, call up Oscar Gonzalez. He's in AAA,
Yeah.
and he's a guy. He's got a rifle for an arm, a cannon, and he also has a tendency of being a clutch hitter. So I wouldn't hesitate to bring him up either.
Yeah.
Otherwise, why? What's the point of having him down there?
I mean, you can say the same thing for what they did with Vivas.
Well, he was also fractured orbital bone. He hit a foul ball off his eye.
But he was up here before the end of the All-Star break, and they didn't play him.
No, but that's only 3 games. I'm not really, I'm guessing the reason why is because Gleyber Torres was in those games. He had 3 hits the one game. He had 2 hits the next game. So I'm guessing that's probably why Gleyber Torres played into another game. He played into another game. But Vivas is another guy, that makes it easier to trade Torres.
Yeah.
So he got a 400 on base percentage, bats on the lefty side, and he could be another valuable piece here.
Well, I think I mentioned to you a long time ago, having Vivas on this team makes trading Torres a lot easier.
Yeah, it does. They have to have the backbone and trade the guy, but
well, they need to be creative. They need to have the type of trades that you talked about a year ago at the trade deadline.
Yeah, and honestly, like it's okay to admit that maybe a change of scenery will do Torres some good for his head and get him back on track, right?
Maybe Torres is not built for the New York atmosphere.
He might not be. I don't know. And I know he's got a rapport with Soto and some of the boys. I get that. That's cool. But at the end of the day, and I'll say this, I like Soto, but I like the team more. I mean, I like Torres, but I like the team more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
if trading Torres helps the team,
then I'm all for it. Yeah, I'm all for it. And at the end of the day, that's what they need to do at this point. Again, it might be better to send Soto somewhere where he can just regroup and refocus and maybe try to find his mojo back and wherever it is, let him find it. But he's clearly not finding it here.
Yeah.
Right? So, and I think they need to they need to acknowledge that. I'm not asking them to acknowledge it publicly. Like, that's kind of ridiculous. Yeah, we heard this too, Jace. Jonathan shared the intel. He's our PMVI. He's our Prime Minister of Valuable Intel. They designated Martin Maldonado for assignment of catcher. So, and I
Yeah,
said earlier, does it mean that they could trade Jose Trevino? I mean, Trevino's, I think, he's 5 years younger than Maldonado, so I don't know. But, I wouldn't, if I was going to trade Trevino, I would play Narvaez.
yeah, I would do that. Narvaez is on the team.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind bringing up Narvaez already.
No, exactly. So, I mean,
we have 5 catchers on the 40-man roster.
Yeah, and I think all of them are probably better than Maldonado. So
And Trevino.
And Trevino probably, yeah. So I think that's, I hope that they take advantage of that, utilize that.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they make a small move involving Trevino.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised either.
Maybe a change in scenery would do him better. I mean, he went from a platinum glove to someone who can't throw out base runners.
Yeah, dude. I got you, NFE, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to jump out, you guys. My phone's about to die. And
I'm gonna wrap this up too.
Yeah, it's already getting late for me as well.
Yeah. So, gang, thanks so much for coming on. Really, thank you for the feedback, your comments. Hit the like button on the way out. If you haven't subscribed to the Strike Zone or this channel, please do. And if you haven't subscribed to the Ford Train Express, please do as well. Want to support the guys, and we appreciate your support, your feedback. NFE, thank you for coming on. Jonathan, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me, man.
Thank
You guys make the discussion better. You guys make it all better.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody in the chat. By the way, hit the like button, hit the sub button, and what does Aaron? One last question, Michael Ryan. What does Aaron? Aaron makes $30 million a year.
$30 million a year, I believe. Wasn't it 8 years, 240?
Something like that. He's on a huge deal.
I believe it was 8 years, 240.
And the Rockies, I think, signed him to that, and then
Yes.
they traded him to the Cardinals. So, and Ken, always a pleasure, my friend. Always a pleasure. Always love having you on too, man. And but have a great night, everybody. Really, peace and love. And if anything else comes out, look out for it. From myself, from Mazza, from NFA, you'll get it from us. That's our word. We promise you that. Okay. Again, thanks so much, everybody, for being part of the 161 family. You all make it better. Talk to y'all next time. All right.